is discipline.
This is a special interview with the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, hosted by Anthony Forson. Happy viewing time.
Sir, you're welcome to the program.
Anthony, thank you very much.
How do you feel right now as a member of the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration?
I think it's a privilege to serve under this administration because it's one administration that has delivered largely on all its promises, despite the challenges we faced.
Now, how would you assess the level of delivery, taking a critical look at infrastructure development, starting with the railways?
I think this government has succeeded very much in the area of infrastructure. And since you were starting with the railway, you remember that sometimes, I think on the 8th of May this year, I kick-started my media tour of the federal government projects, precisely with the rail, in company of the Minister of Transportation, Honorable Rotimi Amici, and about 28 media practitioners on my side and many from the minister's side. We took a ride from Bitimeta to Papalanto to see how work has progressed on the 156 kilometer standard gauge between Ibadan, Lagos and Ibadan, which is the first phase of the Lagos-Kano standard gauge. When we got to Papalanto, we were taken around the site, and as the time we left, about 1.2 kilometers of railroad was being delivered every day. That was on the 8th of May. And we were promised there and then that when the other machine resumes, they'll be doing 2.4 kilometers rail per day. That project employs about 7,000 Nigerians. So in the area of rail, rail transportation was very much on track. We must also not forget that sometimes in April this year, the federal government signed an agreement with a consortium led by the General Electric to revamp the 3,500 kilometers of the narrow gauge between Lagos and Kano. And within 12 months, we are very confident that this will be delivered. What this will translate to is that there will be reduced time traveling from Lagos to Kano by rail, and for the first time in a long period, contracted freight and schedule will resume on the Lagos-Kano road, Kano Railroad. You remember also that last month I took media people around the Abuja Light Rail. This is about 49.2 kilometer rail system, and is the first integrated transportation mode in the whole of Africa. A transportation system that allows you to go from town to the airport by rail and go by air. It's the first of its type in Africa. Yes, we are now running test. We're running test trips with 3 coaches, and we've also placed order for the manufacture and purchase of 48 other coaches. And by the time these arrive in a few years' time, we'll have the whole of Abuja covered. And it's not that alone. Today, you can travel by rail from the airport to the center of Abuja and join a train to Kaduna. We also have in the pipeline rail projects to other parts of the country. And by the time Mr. President comes back with his team from China, they would hear more development about some other rail projects being funded by China in collaboration with Nigeria. Yeah, it's interesting that you see, when we came in 2015, the light rail was about 53.8% completed. Some say 63% completed. But it is the credit of this administration that within 18 months, we were able to complete 100%. I think you were on the team also. And what impressed me most was the fact that already the light rail system in Abuja is attracting tourists, because we met a family who came all the way from Asaba just to go with their son, just to come and experience the light rail system. So I think the most important thing and the most significant thing about the administration is that we revived all, abandoned, inherited projects, and rather than start, awarding new contracts, we felt it would benefit Nigerians more to complete, projects that we inherited, and the Abuja rails, light rail system is one of them.
Okay, let's look at roads now. Give us a breakdown and level of completion.
You see, that would be extremely difficult. But you see, for you to get a proper understanding of what this administration has achieved in infrastructure, I'm talking about roads, I'm talking about transportation, about water, I'll give you the figures for 2014. 2014, Nigeria spent 14 billion naira on transportation. Spent on water, on agriculture and water resources, 34 billion naira. And spent on power, works and housing, 106 billion naira. But in 2017, the administration spent on transportation 107 billion naira. On agriculture and water resources, 130 billion naira. And on power, works and housing, 325 billion naira. Again, this administration, in a manner unprecedented in the history of this country, spent a total of 2.7 trillion naira on capital projects in 2016 and 2017 alone. Let me give you a fair idea, starting from me, if you remember. When I left Papalanto, the next day, we went to inspect the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. We started from the Section 2, I think, which has been executed by the Israeli company. And we were about 58% completed. And we came to the Shagamu-Lagos end, which has been handled by Julius Berger. It was about 53% completed. The good news today is that in conjunction or under the auspices of the National Sovereign Investment Authority, $1.3 billion infrastructural fund has been put aside. And it is to be applied to 5 critical projects in Nigeria. One, the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. 2, the second Niger Bridge. 3rd is the East-West Road. 4th is the Abuja-Kano Road. The last one, the 5th one, is the Mambila Power Project. That's the 5th one. I'm happy to report today that an additional 15 billion naira has just been pumped into this project, courtesy of the Presidential Infrastructural Fund. Now, you remember too that we also inspected the Oyo-Ogumosho Expressway, which at that time again, by the time we went there, if you remember, the contractor was very happy because he was not being owed a penny. And that one is actually being funded from the proceeds of the Sukuk bond. After that, you remember, we proceeded to the southeast, where we first took a trip from Enugu to Onitsha to inspect the second Niger bridge. By the time we went there, of the 61 of the 65 beam that was necessary to be sunk, about 35 had been sunk. The reclamation had reached an advanced stage. But the good news now is that this particular project has now benefited from the Presidential Infrastructural Fund to the tune of, I think, 23 billion naira. This is to ensure that, again, this project will not suffer any lapse as a result of funding. The Abuja-Kano Road has been funded recently to the tune of 23 billion naira, while the second Niger bridge got 33 billion naira. Now, you remember also that after the next day, we took a trip with the media from Enugu to Port Harcourt. The 240-kilometer length road is actually broken into four. And the first section is 2 kilometers from Enugu to Longpata, 59.5 kilometers from Longpata to Umaya Bridge, and then I think another 59 kilometers from Umaya Bridge to Aba, and then 42 kilometers from Aba to Port Harcourt. The Enugu to Longpata end was about 53% completed when we got there. The only constraint they had was that because of the rains, they could not continue. That's what took us to their facility, their 400 ton per day asphalt facility, where they have been stockpiling material, and as soon as the rains are over, they are going to continue. And there again, we were assured that no contractor was owed anything. The Longpata to Umaya Bridge, I think, is being ended by Setraco. I remember we were there, and I think about 31% of the job has been completed. And then we now went from Umaya Bridge to Aba, and there we saw that until we came, a whole section of the road had been condemned to refuse, and it's only the administration that has now revived it. And of course, from there we went to visit the Aba, Port Harcourt, the 42 kilometers, where already I think over the 7 kilometers reclamation had been done, and then they had to do a redesign. It was originally designed to be a double carriage two-way, but because of the heavy traffic, I think 10 kilometers to Port Harcourt, it was redesigned to handle four lanes, and 4 kilometers to Aba, 4 lanes either. From there, we also moved to other parts of the country. We were together about 2 weeks ago, where we inspected the Ilori, Jeba, Mokwa Road. Now, for more than 10 years, this road has been a total failure. As a matter of fact, it used to take 5-6 days to travel from Ilori to Jeba. When we came in 2015, this road was only 15.9% completed. We went there 2 weeks ago. The entire 93 kilometers have been completed, and the journey from, from Ilori to Jeba today takes less than 1.5 hours from 5 days. And the traffic it handles is over 7,500 trucks a day, including articulated trucks. What I've painted to you is replicated in other parts of the country. And that is why we're a bit miffed when sometimes, 2 weeks ago, the Southeast Governors Forum was credited to have said that the Southeast has been neglected in infrastructural development. By our records today, there are 69 road projects going on in the Southeast. Many of them were awarded in 2005, 2003, which we revived and we are funding today.
Let's take a look at funding. How has it been?
You see, Anthony, I think part of the success is the discipline of the administration. We did not invent the Treasury single account, but we are the only administration that was disciplined enough to ensure that all proceeds of government go to the single treasury account. And I think this has, helped a lot. Before now, funds belonging to government were in various bank accounts, thousands of bank accounts. And the result was that we were paying a lot of bank charges on these accounts. Plus, under that system, the government could not have a holistic idea of how much money it had, and that hampered planning. But today, every penny of government is being paid into the single treasury account, and that has helped a lot. When we came in, we suffered massively from the drop in oil prices. But with discipline and focus, and the integrity of the government, we were able to apply even looted funds to fund our infrastructural project. And we have done a lot of massive savings. And in conjunction with the National Survey Investment Authority, we have been handling heavy infrastructural projects. For instance, what we have done is not just in the area of roads. In the area of health, we've invested $10 million in a modern cancer center at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, which should be about now be commissioned. Another $5 million has been invested in the Federal Medical Center in Umahia for a modern diagnosis center, and also in the Malam Aminu Kano University Teaching Hospital. Another $5 million for a diagnosis center. The area of power, even though we inherited a privatized power system, but we were able to raise generation from a mere 2,690 megawatts we inherited today to over 7,000 megawatts. How do we achieve it? We achieve that by ensuring that we put aside a 701 billion payment assurance guarantee to encourage the generating companies. Because their complaint before was that if the generated power, they were not being paid by the distribution companies. So we put aside this 701 billion naira to guarantee them that once you supply power to discos, we will pay you while we sort out the matter with the disco company. But today also we have also embarked on a distribution expansion program with the various discos, and of also transmission from 5,000 to 7,000 megawatts.
The guilt of defection and the battle for the soul of Kwara, you are so passionate about it. What is the state of affairs?
I think there's been a lot of hype about the defection. There's a lot of myth, and we are set to demystify certain individuals. Yes, we lost some people who left with the Senate President. As of today, the governor has defected to the PDP. All our senators have defected to PDP. All our members of the House of Reps have defected to PDP. And of the 24 members of Assembly, only one is remaining. However, the good news, that not only have we, gained from massive defection, also from PDP, people who could not stand in the same party with the Senate President and decided to come and join the APC. But more importantly, that the people, the good people of Kwara State, are very, very much with us. This is what gives me confidence that come 2019, God willing, would win massively in all the elections in Kwara State.
Well, what would be the implication?
See, this is what I call about demystification. You see, no man is a four-man. One person is one man. On the day of election, everybody sends to just one vote. And I've just told you, yes, you have big names who have defected to the PDP. But you have few big names who have left the party. But you have thousands, hundreds of thousands of the group of Kwara State who have refused to move. And it's only on election day that we will know actually whether or not it is the people that determine the outcome of elections or the leadership. Don't forget that only 2 weeks ago, we went with you to inspect the Ilorin-Jebba-Mokwa Road. When we got to Bodisadu, and we got the district of Bodisadu, you remember what he said. They were elated because for years the economy of the place was ruined. We are going, inshallah, on Thursday to also visit the Patigi Paida Road to show Nigerians that Kwara State was never abandoned in the scheme of things. So these people see the good things the Kwara State, the federal government is doing, and therefore they will not abandon us come 2019.
APC and direct and indirect primaries. What is your take?
I think I subscribe to the directive of the APC National Executive Committee that the presidential election should be by direct primaries, because it actually recognizes the power and the importance and significance of every member of the party. By direct primaries, every member of the party in all the nooks and corners of Nigeria is being given the right to choose a leader of his own. The other advantage of that is that by direct primaries, you are calling up of 14 million members of your party to exercise their civic right. And don't forget that you cannot vote for the president without being in possession of a permanent voter's card.
Fake news, how far?
I think the fake news phenomenon is not abating at all. But also our own resolve to confront it is not abating either. But our next step is to have a major stakeholders conference, national conference on fake news. But make no mistake about it, fake news is not peculiar to Nigeria. It's a global epidemic, which if not confronted, probably will become the greatest threat, not just to democracy or security, but to the complete existence of this universe. Here in Nigeria, we have resolved we will not coerce neither are we going to censor. The contrary, we would continue with our advocacy and would depend on the conscience of our media practitioners.
Tell us more about Nigeria's profile abroad.
But I think what we've witnessed this week in particular, I think has demonstrated beyond doubt that Nigeria is today an investor's destination. On Wednesday, we received the British Prime Minister, and during the visits, several bilateral agreements were signed. Today, we received the German Chancellor. Again, several bilateral agreements were signed. Because this government has provided the needed leadership in security, in infrastructure. But more importantly, is that the perception outside of this government, especially of the leadership, that this is an incorruptible, leadership. This is a government where you can do business. And we must not fail to note too that in 1 year alone, we climbed 24 steps in the ladder of ease of doing business from 169 to 145. And we are very confident and very hopeful that when the World Bank is going to release this year, its ranking on ease of doing business would also make some improvement. And I think these are the things that the foreign powers, foreign governments are seeing in Nigeria. This is what they are coming to, to increase their investment in Nigeria.
Well, Honourable Minister, I would like to thank you for being part of this program. On behalf of all those who contributed in making it a success, I remain yours, Anthony Forson, saying, have a pleasant day.
Thank you, Anthony.